Daniel Alexander Cannon of the YouTube channel Logic Before Authority uploaded the plasma fire knowledge he's been withholding from 100,000 of his subscribers for the last 5 years. A video from 5 years ago that shows you exactly how knowledgeable he was and at the leading edge of discovery and disclosure before he decided to erase his channel and never speak another word of it for the last 5 years. The video you're about to watch, I'm just going to show the first half of it. I'm going to leave the link in the description for his YouTube channel and his website. It is at his website where you can watch the full video. The only part of this video that isn't from 5 years ago is the first minute or two of the tree burning from the inside in Maui. And then after that, we're going to go over and watch most of a video that I made about a year ago, expressing why it infuriates me that he withheld this information from everyone, in a video that I titled "Daniel Lied and People Died Without Plasma Fire Inoculation."
Did manage to get to the Pukalani area where you are now. What are the conditions like now in that area outside?
I mean, if you were here and weren't watching the news or didn't have social media, you'd have no idea it was so much devastation on the island. It's, just dark and a little breezy.
And when you made your way there yesterday, what was visibility like and the conditions like the whole way over?
So driving from Lahaina to Kihei, we initially went to Kihei to my little sister's house. She was putting us up, and then we had to evacuate.
Managed to get to the Pukalani area where you are now. What are the conditions like now in that area outside?
I mean, if you were here and weren't watching the news or didn't have social media,
That is the craziest thing I've ever seen. It's hollowed out the tree. There's a fire in Shelville, and it's going straight up the middle of a tree. That is nuts. It's finally dark outside, and now it's only a matter of throwing the switch. 3, 2, 1.
Ilya Petrenko, RT.
Now take a look at what ground originated lightning can do to water. guys, this is Daniel Alexander Cannon here on Logic Before Authority. And 2, 3, and 4 videos back, I discuss the way that they're using, the way they're burning down the houses in California, and using the technology discovered by Tesla of creating basically lightning strikes under the ground. Tesla discovered that there was layers of frequency realms that were across the earth, and there's one that exists above ground up to around 22 feet, and that one's got probably something to do with some other things that burnt. But the one that there's another that's actually below ground. As you may know, lightning itself comes from it's ground based. You'll have the charges, little feelers that'll come up, and I show this in the second or third video back, but they come down from the sky, but the actual main charge comes from the ground, and that is the kill charge, or the huge amperage, huge voltage charge. And so we're trying to, many have been trying to explain, and I'm trying to get the message out about this. So I'd appreciate if y'all guys would make sure some of these videos get to some other people that are still confused on how these houses burnt down. Everybody's seen these trees. I'm going to show you an image, a couple of images that you have not seen yet. It's absolute proof of concept when it comes to these trees. The trees were burnt from the inside out, and the root systems themselves were burnt up. And this happens when lightning strikes a tree. However, we know that lightning did not strike every tree in Paradise, as well as other places in California that this has happened, as well as other places all around the world that this is currently happening. But that's what it looks like. It looks like lightning struck the trees, because trees will burn on the inside out when lightning strikes them, like this one you're looking at here. Like this one you're looking at here, except for this was in Paradise. Same thing with this one. That's the top part of it. That's the whole, well, mostly the whole tree. You can see that the foliage and everything is still there, but the tree is burning heavily from the inside. You'll also notice that that tree in the area that it has, that is on fire really bad inside and out, has wire running across it. Metal. There's another one. These are all in Paradise. Another one. You can see that up under the root system is completely toasted. Same here. Same here. Y'all guys are familiar with this image. But you're not familiar with these images. Let me back on out here so you can see what we're looking at. This is the yard where they are taking all of the trees to in California. They're in Paradise. This is what the yard looks like. Now, looks like a lumber yard where they're processing lumber. Does everything look normal to you? Does it? If you zoom in, come up here a little bit closer on these trees, you're going to notice that all the trees are burnt inside. All of them are burnt at some level, some more than others, but they were all struck by lightning. You see that? They were all struck by lightning. Now, how is that possible? Yet they still have the bark on them. Now, we know how this is possible. We don't know the actual logistics of how they accomplished this, but we know that they've used a Tesla-like weapon to strike these trees, as well as strike the lightning rods of the homes that all burnt down. And as we know, lightning in the sky or anywhere is a little bit uncontrollable, or a lot uncontrollable, and it's going to strike some trees and not strike other trees, and it's going to strike some houses and not some houses. That's why there's the hit and miss thing going on with the houses in California, like I've said. So you can see here what I'm talking about. There's some more of them. All been struck by lightning. Isn't that amazing? And this is lumber that was 6 days ago anyways, still laying there in California. As a matter of fact, even still smoking a little bit. If anybody's out there and you can go hunt this place down and get some more pictures, that would be good. I mean, this is an absolutely smoking gun that proves for anybody with any brains. Of course, they would just deny it and say, that's just critical thinking. I mean, conspiracy theory, but that's how they handle things. They would just, of course, they're going to do what they do with this video, which is shadow ban it, so that when people run searches for anything related to this topic or anything related to my keywords, they're not going to find it because it's not going to show up in the search, even though this video will be highly rated and have everything it's supposed to have. So you see, this is how they did what they did. Okay, I showed everyone let me show you this real quick. I think I showed this in the last video, but this is an example. This is a tree that's been knocked down, and the inside is roasted like it was struck by lightning. Same thing we were seeing with the logs. Same thing. So this is exactly what has happened. And they may be using something called red mercury as well. If you look into red mercury, anything that has to do with mainstream media or government or anything, they will be saying it don't exist. It's not real. It's a fable. It's real. I have spoken to people that are in the know, and seriously, I have, and it is absolutely real. Red mercury. Now, I showed y'all guys the photos, the many photos of the lightning poles, right? Golly. Okay, here we go. The lightning poles throughout the city that were burned up, right? Like this one. And all the lightning poles going down through the streets, like the one on the left on the bottom, it's on fire. There's another one, the one on the left. There's the one on the right, on the bottom, it's on fire. The one on the bottom of the right is on fire, about to fall. The one on the right, on the bottom, is on fire. On the right, on the bottom, the one on the right, on the bottom, is on fire and about to go all the way through. And I could go on and on here. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to come back out, come back up here, and I'm going to show you something else real quick. I'm going to show you this here. This is the railings that were near the dam. Do you remember when I made the video saying that the river was boiling? Well, interesting enough, that is what electricity does to water, of course. It's when it's hit with a charge, it will boil. Now, all the railing posts, as you can see, the foliage behind them is not burning, yet the posts are all burning. You see? All the posts are burning. And strangely enough, of course, there is this long metal electrically conductive metal fence that is running along all of these. So what it specifically drew the charge that was cast underground into these posts and into this metal railing. This will explain to you how the bridges burnt. Remember the bridges with the wood on them? There was no fuel around, no trees or grass really around, but the bridges burnt. The wood part and some of the metal warped and things like this. And they replaced all the tiles from underground because they have wire wound in the tiles, and it created like a Tesla coil and shattered all the tiles that were underground. So they had to replace all of them. And I mean, this is the answer to basically every anomaly except for things that had to do with cars. And I'm going to get into that on the probably either the next or one after video as well. Here is, you can check this out right here. This is actually rocks, strangely enough, that are on fire. Rocks on fire. And that is very strange. Obviously, these rocks have a very high metal content for some reason, but or certain minerals of some kind for some reason. Guys, I wanted to show you that. The main thing I wanted to show you was the pictures of the logging that's going on, and make sure that everybody understands this is not just a theory that I have going on here. All the evidence supports it, and I would ask y'all guys, please spread this information. Please get it to the other video makers out there. There are some that they're having better luck with their channels because all my videos don't go any further than just my subscribers watching. And most of them don't even get them and don't see them. I mean, I'm lucky to get 2,000 views, okay, on information that is absolutely critical. But they've got me shut down. They've got me shadow banned, you know. So it really comes down to y'all guys as to whether this information is getting out or not. So I greatly appreciate it if y'all guys could see what you could do with that. Last thing is I would greatly also appreciate it if y'all guys are able to, if you haven't already or you haven't heard this message, if y'all guys are able to make a donation to my channel, to my work, to help me survive, I would greatly appreciate it. I am one day away from going into delinquent on my rent, and I'm almost there. I'm about $100 away, and y'all guys have helped me out some already, and I greatly appreciate that. Thank you to each person that did that to help me out, and I'm almost there, but I don't have any option but to ask because this is where I've planted my seed. This is where my work is at. I don't have no other field to go to gather harvest. My only place I've sown my work is in my research and in my videos, and that's it. And generally I suffer the consequences because of it, but it's not so bad that I'm not willing to keep going on, but I would prefer not to lose my place to live. So anything you can do, just send it to, go to PayPal and send it to logicbeforeauthority@gmail.com through PayPal. And if you don't have an account, it takes about 5 minutes. but do not charge it. Do not put it on a credit card. Just not something I want y'all guys doing. We'll get it done without that. Okay. Have a great evening. I hope this information gets spread far and wide. I've got a bunch of new videos, stuff coming. Information and knowledge is coming so fast, it is almost impossible for me to keep up with it. I'm being led to talk again about tsunamis and some things that are coming up with that, because I don't believe that the wall that we're talking about, that Trump keeps talking about, this wall, the wall, the wall, you know, I'm not so sure that wall is the wall you're thinking about. I think it might have to do with the height of the walls in Jerusalem. And, well, I'm not going to get into it right now. I've got most of it put together, and I'll be bringing it to you soon. Here on Logic Before Authority. Have a great day, guys. I love you all. Hi, guys. This is Daniel Alexander Cannon here on Logic Before Authority. And this is a video, I'm going to share it with you here real quick. It's a video showing that back about a week ago, during these explosions that I captured in California, simultaneous explosions in multiple locations, particularly explosions in three locations at once, in the shape of an exact triangle. And at one of the locations, it created a forest fire, an unnatural forest fire, but still a forest fire, burned down a bunch of houses and so on. But it also created fire under the ground. Now, why do you reckon that is? Well, I'm going to explain it in detail, but not in this video. I've got some other stuff I've got to put with this, but I wanted to share it with you. But I can explain to you, and some of you already have an understanding and an idea because you've been subscribed here for quite a while. But I'll explain it. Why we have fire running underground when there's supposedly a forest fire above ground is because it was not a natural forest fire, and a specific type of technology was used to ignite it. And it is tied to the shape of the triangle, from what I'm coming to understand. I'll see y'all guys soon, but check this video out. There's fire actually coming through the manholes at Florida Ranch up at the Ralph's up here. That's pretty crazy. I've never seen that before. The flame's gonna go there. So it's underground at this moment. There's more over here. That's wild. Now, there's some people out there talking about magma and these things, and they're trying to figure out what this is. It's not magma. It's fire from underground. And it is plasma, which is the same thing that creates magma, plasma underground. High levels of intense energy, but there's a man-made reason behind all this. And I apologize, my voice is still messed up. I'm a week in, and I still don't have my voice back yet. So I'm doing the best I can. It is what it is. So I'll be back with you here probably tomorrow. I'm going to have a report on this in detail for y'all guys. But this is all tied together. These manhole fire cover and some explosions even, all tied to the explosions that we seen on the satellite. Remember? 2 nights in a row, what was it, Friday and Saturday night? Yeah, man-made. Guys, this is an emergency broadcast for anybody that you know in California or have any way that you can get information to people in California. It's been said and known in the last little bit that there was a fire that outbroke in Sandalwood, California. It's east of LA, okay? Up in the foothills, east of LA, down the valley there, basically. You can see it in the center of the screen. It's 2 explosions that look to be about, I don't know, probably 30, 40 miles apart. There are 2 different fires that exploded at the exact same moment there. You can see them in the center of the screen. 2 fires, 2 locations, 2 explosions. Well, the only thing is there are 3 more. If you look over to the right-hand side of your screen, out in front of the bubble, right in front of the bubble, the little orange bubble on the right side of the screen, you see that one? At the exact same moment, these 2 other explosions take place, one on the right-hand side, and I don't know that exact location yet, explodes and takes place. Then to the north, at the exact same moment, at the state line, another explosion takes place at the exact same moment. It can be seen to the right of the screen near the orange bubble. Straight out in front of the orange bubble now. You can see the smoke plume starting to come up from it. Huge fire. Also, up the valley, we've got another huge explosion. All simultaneous. At least 5 explosions all at the same time. I don't know what's going on in California, whether they're going to claim this as forest fires or what they're doing, but California is under attack. 5 explosions all at the same time. Y'all guys have got to warn the people of California what is going on. I've been looking to see if I see any others happening as well, but that's 5 locations. Hi guys, this is Daniel Alexander Cannon here on Logic Before Authority. This is an update to the video that I just did a little while ago showing 5 explosions in California that have turned into massive fires. Unfortunately, there's at least 2 more, and I suspect there are many more. I'm going to show you. Look in the center of your screen, right after dark, north of LA. Another major explosion of fire there. And right there, you can see the one at the bottom still exploding at the bottom center of the screen as it gets dark, and then the one right below where the state turns, right there in the center of the screen now. Another big explosion of fire. That is at least 7 major fires that have broken out. All very highly suspicious. I'm checking the rest of the state again. You need to be on high alert. And you better realize that this is not natural. Five fires across the state do not start at the exact same time, if you don't know what I'm talking about. See my video 2 videos ago. Be vigilant. Love you guys. Hi guys, this is Daniel Alexander.
So here's a video that I made over a year ago titled "Daniel Lied and People Died Without Plasma Fire Immunization Against Peer Pressure and Authority." I'm skipping the first 14 minutes 20 seconds. The link will be in the description if you want to watch the first part of the video.
Anyway, so since we're on it, let's talk about logic before authority. I gotta grab a drink. These are the only people that have seen plasma fire, okay? Like I say, the bigger phenomenon to me is that still no one else sees it. And even the people that do see it, like the viewers of this channel, don't seem to be interested in doing anything with it. So let's talk about logic. Because when I went to go grab that MB3 moon video from nearly 4 years ago, along with it, in the description of that video, was one titled "Moon on Its Back" by Logic Before Authority. And since then, he has erased all of his videos because he was afraid of them getting censored, and we'll talk about that in a minute. So he's wiped out all of his videos, took them all down himself. But back when I was demonstrating all the mountains of evidence of plasma fire all around us for the last 4 years, he was showing his audience the peripheral information, details, and understanding about plasma fire, specifically about directed energy weapons. Including, I remember from one of his videos, a quote by Nikola Tesla that says, "I can place the power of the sun anywhere on the face of the earth at any time." Which coincides with a caller that in Ground Zero with Clyde Lewis that talked about solar magnetic amplification causative configurator that can control the timing, duration, intensity, and location of a solar flare, or the effects of a solar flare. So, Logic Before Authority would even show his viewers that as these fires would start up, the overhead satellite cameras that you can watch show a burst of light coming from where the fire then becomes a fire and a pillar of smoke starts to come from it. Right at the beginning, you can see a burst of light. But he never told his audience where you can find the library that documents the mountains of evidence for the past 4 years. And if he did so at this point, his audience would know that he's a fraud. Once, he accidentally told the truth. That's what they call a Freudian slip. When I recorded my first live plasma fire video, which was last summer, 2021, I posted it, and within 5 minutes, he mirrored it on his channel. His conscience got to him. That's what that was. Accidentally told the truth, made sure to never do it again. Why? Sure, he could give you any answers he wants. I've blocked him from commenting on this channel. But I'll tell you why I think, because I've said many a times for a long time, don't tell me what you believe. I'll watch your actions and decide for myself what you believe. And I think I got a pretty good idea of why he believed it would be better for him to erase all of his videos, and why up until the point where he erased all of his videos, he never showed his audience where the library of plasma fire knowledge is, so that they could come drink for themselves from that cup. So he could keep collecting donations. That's the bottom line, because the things I say here run contrary to the indoctrination, the mind control that the general demographic of his audience are under. Mainstream biblical Christianity. And a lot of the things you come here to this channel and hear are very different than that mainstream milquetoast, lukewarm Christianity that he appeals to. So the one time he ever showed them any of my work was a single live plasma fire video, the first live plasma fire video, and he mirrored it within 5 minutes of me putting it up, because he got a guilty conscience. His conscience started eating away at him. And this came to me the other day with a fury and a passion, and I'm sure I could just freehand it, so I guess I will. But it's all written in these notes where I texted myself these understandings. So I'll just go check the notes to see if there's anything I missed after I give it to you straight. Because I think time's up for you, logic, and those half-truths you told will afford you nothing. Like it says in AA, they got this saying that said, half measures availed us nothing. We looked for an easier, softer, or gentler path, but half measures availed us nothing. And those half-truths that you told will avail you nothing. Because all those people that you led astray by concealing from them, that's called a lie of omission, where you just leave that part out. And if your viewers were to see what a big part it was that you left out, that you knew about, but just didn't want to tell them about, they would see you as a fraud. Why did you keep doing that? So you could keep saying, break some bread with me, fellow brothers and sister Christians. Send it to my PayPal, Venmo, Patreon, Cash App. And you made a way of life. Your income was dependent upon that indoctrination. And the things that I say over here break the spell. But you were relying on that magic spell to try and leverage those keywords, to try to extract some money from them. Oh, break some bread with me. And now, all of those people that you led astray are going to experience the consequences of not knowing anything about plasma fire to the degree and the way in which, and the quality and the quantity of knowledge they would have had access to if you would have told them the truth. Instead, you led them astray, told them half-truths, because you were afraid they might come over here and hear something that doesn't fit with that programming and that mind control, and that some of them might say, oh, Daniel, how dare you? That's not a real Christian. He doesn't say the same gobbledygook nonsense we do. And then your funds might dry up. Or maybe you were looking out for them because you were afraid they were soft-minded people that would believe whatever they heard. So you were protecting them from things they might hear. Regardless of what your answer is, you led them astray by telling them half-truths. They will all now experience the consequence of being kept in the dark. At this 11th hour, it's too late. If you were to show them the extent of the plasma fire library that I've amassed, and the fact that you knew about it the whole time, they would see you as a fraud. And rightfully so. And so now what do you think you deserve for that behavior, Daniel? What do you think should be your just reward for having led them astray? Got a cop behind me. I need to tone it down for a second. I can give you another reason that he may have erased his channel. Because when COVID hit, he swallowed it hook, line, and sinker. He was making videos crying about all these poor people that are getting locked in their apartments and it's getting welded shut and they're lighting the buildings on fire. He was taking a single image of 10 body bags, let's say 10 body bags laid out on a block. Multiply that times 4, because there's 4 sides to every block. Multiply that by how many blocks there are, and this is how many bodies are laying in the streets of Shanghai or whatever. At the same time, while I'm sending him coronavirus crisis actor videos saying, dude, pump the brakes. The fuck, none of this is even halfway believable. Before that, in that 2018 area, he made a video titled, I received an eye upgrade. Because he had received an eye upgrade. Somewhere along the way, he lost it. Probably because the things he started seeing, he knew that if he was saying it, remember the 2 criteria, smart enough to see it, courageous enough to say it. And I give you the first criteria. You don't even have to be smart enough to see it for yourself. I point it out to you. Likewise, when you are given the eyes to see, you don't have to be smart enough to see it. You can suddenly see things in a different way than you've ever seen them before. And some of the stuff I was saying, while I was seeing, some of the things I was seeing, does not mesh with the indoctrination of the mind control program of mainstream canonized Christianity. And that's probably why he gave up his eyes to see, because he didn't like some of the things he was seeing, and he knew if he were to say anything about it, he'd be alienated and ostracized by those good Christians around him that he depends on for his income through donations. So, he made the video, I've received an eye upgrade, clear back then. But he made some choices that reflect his outward standards of behavior, reflect those underlying principles, and those underlying principles reflect the underlying priorities of what's more important, A or B. And he made some choices along the way that led to him having the standards of behavior of never showing his audience the truth about plasma fire. And that also led to him erasing all of his videos. Maybe because he didn't want them seeing that he bought the whole thing hook, line, and sinker right from the beginning. And it took me and some others quite a while saying, dude, what the fuck? Do you not get it? Can you not see? And finally he's making videos, all right, send me your proofs. Everyone send me your proofs that this is all just made up. Well, there was another content creator who fell for it also, called Final Messages, Last Messages. I think it's Last Messages. And then once she realized she'd been duped, she made a mea culpa video. I think it's a husband and wife team. Anyway, they made a mea culpa video and then didn't make another video for 6 months to a year. Daniel? Oh, let's just pretend that didn't happen and keep going and never fucking make note of it. Because how can he be their fearless leader with eyes to see when it's obvious he got taken for a ride? And if it weren't for others like us that still have the eyes, he'd still be riding. So, some of his other half-truths are good, are worth watching. His Iris World video, I used part of that recently, but those half-truths will avail you nothing. Because of the people that you led astray by concealing from them the massive amounts of evidence and proof and truth that surrounds them. All they would have had to do is go outside and look in their local area where they remember having a fire, saw it on the news, saw the smoke rising in the sky, and go look for themselves. And then I wouldn't still be the expert on this subject. I don't want to be the expert. I want other people to look at it and think for themselves and use their own senses too. That's what this is for. It is to process people out of the mental enslavement that we are in. And the way to do that is to get them to use their own senses and exercise their own thought processes. And that's what they are forced to do when they see the plasma fire and they realize the news isn't telling them anything about it. They are left to their own devices, their own senses, their own perception, their own information processor. But Christianity has an aversion to that. No, don't do your own thinking. No, don't think for yourself. The thinking has been done. The prophet has spoken. So it doesn't matter what other truths you may have delivered. It's that big one that you kept from them that's going to cost you dearly. Now imagine, now that you've drank from that cup and you made your living off of that mind control indoctrination by reciting those same trigger words. Break some bread with me, fellow Christians. You reinforced that programming because you benefited from it personally. Now, imagine yourself waking up in a world. Hold on, I got to fix it. Imagine waking up one day and you have a vertical slit pupil. And you know those knuckle-dragging troglodytes are going to kill you with a quickness. And think they're doing God's work. Think they stand on the moral high ground while they're doing it. Like that guy that used a spear gun and put a spear through his two children's chest, ages 1 and 3, because his wife had infected them with that serpent seed DNA of the seed of Cain. You wake up one day and find you've got vertical slit pupils, and you know they are ready and willing to commit genocide based on pupil shape that quick. And here's how you know, just a side note, why is it that the Christians, the non-religious, and the conspiracy theorists and normies, they all agree on this one thing: reptilians are evil. How are they such unanimous, uniform conformity there? Groupthink. Why are there none who are not human supremacists? So, imagine one day, Daniel, you wake up in a world and you have those vertical slit pupils. What chance you would have at convincing any of your good Christians that you're not evil? This ain't the first time I've spoken of this. I've asked people many times, like in the video Kygo Stole the Show, where they have an ETI crash land. And they got dispatch going, okay, ETI parties are good to go. I repeat, ETI parties are good to go. So that the ETI can run over and blend in with a bunch of people that are dressed up like ETs. So that those knuckle-dragging troglodytes, just the general average good Christians, don't destroy him immediately. And then eventually the authorities show up, of course, to kick in the door. But in that music video, love perseveres. And I've asked you guys, would you put on a pair of contacts to make you look like you have those vertical slit pupils, to protect the innocent from the knuckle-dragging troglodytes? So, imagine yourself waking up in a world where everyone is reptilian now, but you know yourself on the inside to be a human being. But that if you reveal the truth about what you know yourself to be on the inside to these others, they will tear you apart. Soft-minded people, taking a hardline stance on things they don't understand, do that kind of thing. So your first instinct would be maybe to keep real quiet about the fact that you know you're really a human being inside and you're just a lizard on the outside. And then you would want to find others like yourself, but you got to be real careful about going about finding them. Because if you just ask them directly and they're not, they're going to tear you up. And even if they are, they might get nervous and tear you up anyway, just to keep their good standing status within the membership of the surrounding community. It's nice to know my kind will be on my side. I don't believe the hype. And you know you're a terrible sight, but you'll be just fine. Just don't believe the hype. And at the end of, that's 21 Pilots' Hype. They also have a song, Heathens. The very last lyric says, now they're outside ready to bust. It looks like you might be one of us. What is this us they're referring to when they say you might be one of us? What is this kind that they're referring to when they say it's nice to know my kind will be on my side? And that part about you know that you're a terrible sight, but you'll be just fine, just don't believe the hype, is the scenario I'm trying to get Daniel to imagine, that now that you've reinforced and benefited from that indoctrination, rather than, like me, trying to break some of it by saying, hey, how about you consider wearing some contacts to protect the innocent from the soft-minded people taking a hardline stance on things they don't understand? No, instead you reinforced all of that propaganda, that mind control, that dogma, and that doctrine, because if they came over to this channel, he might break the spell. He has a way with words, and he's convincing and persuasive and charismatic. And I can't let these soft-minded Christians be exposed to his words. So I'm going to keep that stone-cold truth of the trees burning from the inside by the billions and trillions that he has in that library over there. I'm going to keep that truth from them because of what they might hear over there that might break the spell. So, Daniel, what do you think you deserve as your just reward for what you've done? I suggest you pray to God and ask that you not receive that just reward, because if it is just tenfold what you've done after leading those people astray, and now they will all experience the consequence of not knowing anything about plasma fire. And as such, there will be consequences, by the way. It's kind of a big deal. It's kind of a filtration process here on the consciousness farm. And the difference between those that can see it and know about it are separated and filtered from those that can't see it and don't know about it. And that's what I was referring to at the beginning of this video, where the girl who I initiate from the hot springs, suddenly, in a very rapid succession, processes all this information real quick and realizes not only are the trees burning from the inside, there's a large group of people who know about it, and a large group of people who are orchestrating and coordinating a cover-up or a lack of coverage, because that cover-up does not account for the millions of people that pass these millions of trees every day and can't see it. So you can't blame the cover-up for the fact that they still have a veil over their eyes. That's a separate issue. Hold on. Ugh. This thing keeps rolling around on the floor. So, that's what I mean when I say that all those people are now going to experience the consequences of knowing nothing about plasma fire, when they would have had the opportunity to separate themselves and distinguish themselves and differentiate themselves in order that they might be able to answer a question like what Fernando asked me about helium, except about plasma fire. But none of them can, because it was more important to you to keep picking their pockets for donations. And you were afraid some of those donations might dry up. Unless you have a better reason that you kept them in the dark that you'd like to share with us. But that's too late, because I already blocked you from commenting on this channel. When someone demonstrates that level of hypocrisy, why do I care to hear what they have to say? I'll include the link in the description of this video where I sent Daniel a $1,000 check and it got sent back to me. Tried to bribe that motherfucker into telling the truth. And God said, nope, nope. Sent me my check back. Or do you think that wasn't God? So, you really need to do some soul searching, Daniel, because it's pretty fucking obvious that I am touched by an angel. Yeah, I may be the prophet of doom. I may be the harbinger of doom. That's not up to you to decide. Now is it? What truth to offer people when calling yourself a truther? That's why they say the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Because people have these real clever ways of giving partial truths. But the magnitude of the truth that you withheld from your audience isn't just kind of a minor detail that we can, use nuanced words and kind of create a mental loophole and perform some mental gymnastics to get around. There's no getting around that. The consequences of not knowing anything about plasma fire, there will be consequences. That is part of the filtration process that you denied them access to. Sealing their fate, keeping them on the compound of the slave plantation, of the mental slavery that you have in common with them in order that you could leverage those trigger words to extract money from them. What do you think your just rewards ought to be, Daniel? So, right now, I'd say there's, let's just say 20 guys at work who now know about plasma fire, who didn't know about it a couple weeks ago. So right now, they still have the, I was processing it, I was digesting it, I hadn't done anything with that information yet because I was still wrapping my mind around it. But here in a couple more weeks, you'll still be wrapping your mind around it. Here in a couple more months, you'll still be digesting it. And here in a couple years, you'll still be sitting on it without having done anything with it. And you'll continue your life thereafter the same way you did prior to that point of learning about the end of the world. Because it is the end of the world as you know it, instantly, if you accept what you're being shown. This is the end of the world where there's only one world and we all live in the same world. The end of the world as you knew it, where there's only one world and we're all in the same world. And proof that those truthers were right, that there is a small group of people who know a lot more about this world than the rest of us and control us through mind control, through the power brokers that they have inserted in all of these institutions of media, higher education, politics, police force, fire department, you name it, music industry, TV industry, right? All those things that the conspiracy theorists pointed toward and said, yeah, there's a secret society behind that curtain of people that really pull the strings. With plasma fire and the 4 years of documentation of it, and seeing how widespread it is, this takes that secret society from a speculation to a proven existence. And once you realize there's plasma fire, you also realize there is a secret society orchestrating the, I don't even like to use the word concealment or cover up, the lack of coverage. They're not broadcasting it. They're not announcing it. So, what was previously speculative on the part of the truthers, talking about these shadowy organizations that rule the world from behind closed doors, that went from speculative to proven with plasma fire. Proven. All the governments are keeping their citizens in the dark by just not announcing it. But again, you can't blame the fact that they're still in the dark on government censorship or media censorship or any of the rest. There is a veil over their eyes. There is a willful ignorance they demonstrate when they pass these trees by the millions and don't talk about it around the water cooler. Nothing could stop them from spreading the word if they themselves were willing to see it and say it. Those are the two criteria by which I've been looking for a few good men, haven't found a single one. I cannot name a single person who's watched this channel that sticks out amongst the rest who didn't respond the same exact way as everyone else. Not a single one. So if I have, 24 tickets to ride, 24 uniforms to fill, I can't think of a single person who I'd issue that first ticket to ride to. They've all responded exactly the same way. So I don't expect anyone at this workplace that I've now made some revelations to. I expect them to respond the same way that I've seen everyone else respond over the last 4 years. At the beginning of this, as soon as I realized what it is I've stumbled upon, like the saying says, occasionally men will stumble across the truth. Most of the time they pick themselves up and hurry off as if nothing ever happened. Well, I didn't do that. And I assumed that everyone else wouldn't do that either. I assumed as soon as I post my first plasma fire video, it's going to go viral. And within a week or two, within a day or two, everyone's going to be talking about this. No one will even remember where the first plasma fire video came from. 4 years later, here we are. Still no one knows. I'm a one-man secret society. Fully initiated Illuminati one-man secret society. And when you learn about plasma fire, so this is the differentiation between the one-worlders and the multiple worlders. The one-worlders are the normies that think, there's only one world and we all live in it, and there is no such world within a world that you conspiracy theorists talk about when you refer to these secret societies. And now we know there is proof that there is at least two worlds. Because you went from being in the one world where no one knows anything about any sort of plasma fire to knowing about plasma fire, and that it's so ubiquitous there is a orchestrated, coordinated silencing or a non-announcement, a cover-up, whatever you want to call it, concealment. So you know not only are the trees burning from the inside, but there's so much of it going on. There's a large group of people that know about the trees that are burning from the inside and don't say anything about it. Shh. Shh. Like David Bowie. Shh. Because this is how we separate. This is how we filter out those secret societies. It's a secret that I've been yelling from the rooftops, trying to get anyone who will listen to listen. But there is something different about us, because all those people went about their life as if it's not happening. They acted the same thereafter discovering plasma fire as they did prior to. Therefore, they are acting as if it's not happening. So, plasma fire is a filtration device on the consciousness farm. That is self-evident truth. That there is a difference between those that can see it and those that can't. And that difference is one of consciousness. And it's not just a minor minutia of difference. It's right at the core, fundamental foundation of your being. Because if you're able to blow off plasma fire and go about life as if whatever was your priority a minute ago is still your priority, that's a level of consciousness that is demonstrating your underlying priorities and principles through your standards of behavior. And if you maintain your same priorities and principles and standards of behavior after this is entered in as a variable into your worldview and self-image, and you do not factor this in, it shows something about who you are, at the very core of who you are. If this doesn't reorder your priorities, what would? The answer is nothing. That's why it has been put right there in front of us in so many places. It is for the purposes of seeing who will notice and who won't, and the effect that it has upon them when they do notice. So you've all been given an opportunity, and the offer has been shunned. But there's multiple offers within every offer. You've taken the offer to, pretend it's not happening. You accepted that offer. You were made that offer to, here, let me show you this, and then you can go about your life, pretend it's not happening. You accepted that offer. The plasma fire is a consciousness farm filtration device that is separating us out into petri dishes of a culture of consciousness of others who are like ourselves. And when you're asked those questions that you can answer now, like a fucking secret password, like who owns all the helium? Only because you've been initiated do you know it. NASA. Likewise, there are many of ways that a question can be formulated around plasma fire, to which you will be able to easily answer. But none of Daniel's audience are even going to have the chance, because he withheld that from them, making sure that they retain their ignorance. He made that choice for them. They probably would have all done it themselves anyway. Judging by the reaction of all the other people out here, they would probably engaged in willful ignorance, but it was their will and their choice that you took. Didn't even give them the opportunity to demonstrate a level of cognitive dissonance that it takes to be able to carry on with life thereafter and not miss a beat. That's how it's a filtration device. It gives plenty of people the opportunity to show how self-absorbed they are and impenetrable the facade and the shell of their psyche is. If this doesn't penetrate and reorder your priorities, nothing ever would. If you're able to engage a level of cognitive dissonance when it comes to plasma fire, you're demonstrating that you are outside of the fit to survive category. Even in the wild, they do not disregard a clear and present danger that is of the magnitude of plasma fire without dying. And thus, the herd is thinned and survival of the fittest carries on. We're only surviving because something is preventing us from the consequences of our own actions. Something's carrying our weight for us. Because we're demonstrating that we're not fit to survive when we're capable of a level of denial, the likes of which we are seeing demonstrated, that revolves around plasma fire. How many of them do you think wouldn't have gotten the vax if they'd have known about plasma fire? Doesn't that reorder your priorities? Doesn't that break you out of your denial and know that these institutions that aren't telling you anything about plasma fire aren't on your side? So when they come saying, here, we got a solution, roll up your sleeve, you'll say, a solution? How is that a solution to the plasma fire? Well, huh? Oh, that's right, you didn't know. But if your audience would have been given the opportunity to know about plasma fire and then see that the institutions are in on a coordinated, orchestrated, lockstep, singing the same tune, hear no fire, see no fire, smell no fire, they would have lost all trust in those institutions. By the time COVID came along, They would have had an immune system to the propaganda that says authorities say this and peer pressure says you should that. Peer pressure from these blind people that can't see plasma fire has no effect on someone who can see it. Pressure from the authorities that are concealing plasma fire from everyone has no effect on the person who can see it. And if you would have revealed it to your audience, they would have had that choice. They would have had a mental and emotional and a spiritual immune system against peer pressure and authority, because they would see that neither of them mean anything in the face of plasma fire, which has revealed their true character. Both the peers that would pressure them are blind, and the authorities that would pressure them are fraudulent. The lie of omission that they are all engaged in by not saying anything to the public about plasma fire is the same lie of omission that Daniel Alexander Cannon perpetuated on his audience for 4 years now. And it's now been so long, if you were to tell them now, they would all know you're a fraud immediately. But maybe you ought to take that risk, because just like plasma fire was followed by COVID, and anyone who saw plasma fire was immune to the pressure, the peer pressure and the authority pressure of COVID to go take this vax. Maybe there's something else coming along that they need to know about plasma fire for, just like the COVID gave them an immunity, just like Tool made that album called Fear Inoculum. So maybe you're just going to have to let them know that you're a fraud and accept the consequences of telling that truth in order to be able to tell the larger truth about plasma fire and let them in on what you've been concealing from them. Because at this point, you'd have to tell them the truth about plasma fire and the truth about why you kept that truth from them for 4 years. And that's a video I would be interested in seeing, if you got honest with yourself. Here's an opportunity for you. And just to help out a little bit with that thought process, I'm going to include links in the description that show one of my trips to the Springville Art Museum that shows the triumphant return of Christ.
There's a saying in the Bible somewhere, I guess it's a scripture, that speaks to the watchman on the wall and says that if you fail to notify the people on the ground at ground level of what you can see coming over the horizon, their blood is on your hands. Daniel often refers to himself as a watchman on the wall, and that would apply to everyone who's come in contact with this information, even if you never wanted to be the watchman on the wall. Once you're in possession of this information, you have a responsibility. The root word in responsibility is response, and I haven't seen very many responsible responses. You have a moral obligation. Once you're in possession of this, you are the watchman on the wall. I think it also says something about he who loves his lifestyle so much he's willing to sacrifice the truth in order to keep collecting donations will lose it. And he who's willing to sacrifice his life in favor of prioritizing the truth will get to keep it. What you're looking at here is the Eurythmics album cover. Notice a difference here between Annie Lennox and Dave Stewart. If you watch the music video Missionary Man and you speak symbolism even just a little bit, and you're not totally fluent but you can see a little bit, you'll see that there's underlying messages all through there. I'd be curious to see the original album cover before anything was digitally enhanced, like back in the 80s when this first came out, to see if it's the same image. Because back then, reptilian wasn't a pop culture meme. Another reason that someone might not even be consciously aware of why they don't want to spread the truth about plasma fire, that it's not just a few incidences like Paradise in Hawaii and maybe a couple others, but hundreds and thousands all around, so thick that your average viewer has a fire within their neighborhood in the last year or two where they could go to that burn area and spot the same electricity patterns, because that implicates the church in the cover-up. Same church that issues the book from which you are quoting, that is the programming manual that you're using. But there is a case to be made that it is moral and ethical to conceal this from the general public. However, the people you're speaking to have already chosen through a process of self-selection to separate themselves from the general public. And that moral, ethical decision to conceal this is the same exact as an incoming asteroid that's going to hit the planet. If the institutions knew that there was an incoming asteroid going to hit the planet, would they notify the public? You already know what the answer is. Of course not. And you already know why. Because the chaos and the destruction that would happen would be as detrimental and destructive as the impact of the asteroid itself, and plasma fire is of the same magnitude. If people ran around and suddenly realized what's been happening around us, most of them wouldn't handle it too well. The thin veneer of society would disappear very quickly. So, in reference to what people might have done differently with their lives if they had known over the past 5 years what was happening, particularly now, as the whole world is on fire, and it looks like we're at the end of the 9th inning in this game, what would people have done differently? Ask the average person, if you knew this was happening, would you have spent the last 5 years doing exactly what you did? To that, I will reference the song, Live Like You Were Dying. I spent most of the next days looking at the plasma fire videos, thinking about the options and thinking about sweet time. And I asked him when it sank in if this might really be the real end. How's it hit you when you get that sort of news? I went skydiving, I went Rocky Mountain climbing, I went 2.7 seconds on a bowl named Fu Manchu, and I loved deeper, and I spoke sweeter, and I gave forgiveness I'd been denying. And I hope you get the chance to live like you were dying. But Daniel's viewers didn't get that chance. I was finally the husband that most of the time I wasn't, and I became the kind of friend a friend would like to have. And all of a sudden going fishing wasn't such an imposition, and I went 3 times that year I lost my dad. I finally read the good book, and I took a good long hard look at what I'd do if I could do it all again. Someday I hope you get the chance to live like you were dying. Like tomorrow was a gift and you've got eternity to think about what you did with it. What would you do with it? And now for the song Prayer in C by Robin Schultz. And the theme of the music video is the Day of the Dead, Dia de los Muertos, where they're all getting ready to go to the Day of the Dead party, and they're announcing it all over town. They're painting their face with the traditional Day of the Dead face paint, and they're putting up stickers and spray painting it all over town, flying their flag, the big announcement. And that's essentially what those plasma fires are. Yeah, you never said a word, you didn't send me no letter. Don't think I could forgive you. See, our world is slowly dying, I'm not wasting no more time. Don't think I could believe you. Yeah, you never said a word, you didn't send me no letter. Don't think I could forgive you. See, our world is slowly dying, I'm not wasting no more time. Don't think I could believe you. Yeah, our heads will get more wrinkled and our hair will be gray. Don't think I could forgive you. And see, the children are starving and their houses were destroyed. Don't think they could forgive you. Hey, when seas will cover lands and when men will be no more, don't think you can forgive you. Yeah, when there'll just be silence and when life will be over, don't think you will forgive you. Yeah, you never said a word, you didn't send me no letter, don't think I could forgive you. See, our world is slowly dying, I'm not wasting no more time, don't think I could believe you. Yeah, our heads will get more wrinkled and our hair will be gray, don't think I could forgive you. And see, the children are starving and their houses were destroyed, don't think they could forgive you. Aye, when seas will cover lands and when men will be no more, don't think you can forgive you. Yeah, when there'll just be silence and when life will be over, don't think you will forgive you. But all those people missed the invitation to the Day of the Dead party and instead they carried on with their life as if they still needed to invest in their retirement package and maintain petty grievances rather than giving forgiveness that they had been withholding. And they could have been living as if tomorrow's a gift and you'll have eternity to think about what you did with it. Woulda went skydiving, Rocky Mountain climbing, and all that good stuff, but I just didn't realize how fleeting life was. And like it says in the song by Tool, Right Into, repugnant is a creature who would squander the ability to lift his eye to heaven, conscious of his fleeting time here. And plasma fire makes people conscious of their fleeting time here. Thus they don't take it for granted. And the signs of the big Day of the Dead party were put up all over. But I guess it's up to each individual to decide whether or not they're coming to the party. But when you can see the signs all over and you don't invite your friends who didn't notice, well, I won't have to worry about that because I didn't do that.